Mr. Hultgren.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Cordray, way over here. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you coming. Your testimony is an important opportunity, certainly for us to hear about the Bureau's policymaking, formal and informal, and for Congress to use the limited oversight provided to us by the Dodd-Frank Act. First of all, I was drawn to the part of your testimony that I think awkwardly tries to make the case that community banks and credit unions are faring well in the current regulatory and economic environment. I assume you read the American Banker, but just in case you don't, I wanted to flag some stats from a story that was published on Friday. It said today there are 1,524 fewer banks with assets under $1 billion than there were when Dodd-Frank was signed into law. Also said the number of banks with under $1 billion in assets fell by 5.6% in the second quarter. This is the second largest percentage reduction since 1984. The annual shrinkage rate in the number of banks under $1 billion has accelerated every quarter but one since the third quarter of 2012. As I have observed the Bureau over the last few years, I've become increasingly concerned it is more interested in expanding its influence than in protecting consumers' access to financial products and services. The revised QM rules for small creditors and those operating in a rural or underserved area was released by the Bureau last week. I appreciate many of the considerations you made for these lenders. However, the entire Illinois delegation, House, Senate, Republicans, Democrats, made a recommendation that the CFPB that economically challenged areas be included in the definition of underserved areas. Why did the CFPB avoid an opportunity to make this common sense change that would have eased compliance for community lenders and improved access to credit?
Okay, so the two parts of your question. First part on community banks. I think you're just wrong on the facts. Community banks' revenues are up.
My question was specific to this.
And market share is up.
Economically challenged.
They're lending more.
That was a statement. So you can comment on my statement, but my question is, economically challenged, why, again, this was Republicans, Democrats, House, Senate, all said this is important, please do this, and you just ignored it. And I wonder why you did and why you wouldn't put this common sense change in there. That first question.
Okay. So we've done 2 or 3 rounds of rulemaking now on the meaning of rural and underserved. We've heard a lot of comments on those, and we've done our best to digest those comments and reach conclusions. We have, in all these cases, expanded the coverage of that in so as to benefit community banks and credit unions. And have considerably done so. If you
look back, are not feeling it, and the American Banker article clearly says that. I only have 2 minutes left, so I want to get to my second question here real quickly. Yeah. Again, this is bipartisan, Republicans, Democrats, House, Senate, asking, please, common sense, this makes sense, please do it, please take another look. Second question, I want to talk to you a little bit about how your agency chooses to engage the media and the public. I've noticed your press office is much more aggressive and inflammatory than any other financial regulators. First of all, your agency is well known for its use of midnight embargoes to create one-sided stories. Additionally, these press releases frequently use language that misrepresent the facts. In the Bureau's semi-annual report, you cite 45 public enforcement actions in the preceding calendar year ending March 31st, 2015. In many of these standalone enforcement actions, most commonly resulting in consent orders, the report and press releases describe the Bureau as finding or ordering companies to conform to a judgment determined by the Bureau. Do any of these standalone consent orders admit any facts or guilt?
So ordering is certainly accurate, and when we say finding, we tend to be careful about this language, but usually this is the result of a prolonged investigation by us, sometimes in conjunction with other agencies, including the Justice Department at times, or other financial agencies, or states, who are all joining the investigation and reaching the same conclusions. So the notion that we're somehow off on our own doing crazy things when we're typically working with partners who are themselves law enforcement partners and reaching the same conclusions, I think, speaks for itself.
But even with your statement, since liability has not been proven in a court of law, why does the Bureau issue over-the-top press releases that state facts that are not proven? Why does the Bureau try to insist a company has violated the law if it is not proven it did so?
I don't think that's fair characterization. I don't think they're over-the-top press releases.
If you look at the press releases,
we're calling attention to practices that usually are a result of a prolonged investigation. The facts are usually clear enough that the institution wants to resolve. without further proceeding because they
What we do
recognize the
here is
problems.
we have several
and they're
different
gonna clean up the
regulatory
problem.
agencies that come and report to us. We see the difference, and it is such a glaring difference to us of what CFPB is doing. I'm just asking you, look at the other departments of what they're doing.
I don't
Your
think-
press releases are so far over the top.
No, I don't think so. Look,
They are.
often we issue joint
Who writes your press releases?
Often we issue press
Who writes the
releases,
press releases?
in matters where state AGs issue press releases as well. I don't think there's a
Who writes
difference
the press
between them.
releases?
I don't think the Justice Department's
My
press
time is
releases
almost
are
up. Who
different
writes
from
your press
ours.
releases?
So, many people at the Bureau are involved in writing accurate, fair accounts of our matters.
It doesn't look that way. My time has expired. I
And,
yield
and
back,
by the way,
Chairman.
when the
My time
institution
has
agrees
expired. I
to
yield
change
back.
their practices
Time
going
of the
forward,
gentleman has
that's a
expired.
significant
The chair
admission
now
that they need to change.
The time of the gentleman has expired. The chair now